Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas says Palestine will not be bound by agreements with Israel and the US because of Israel's planned annexation of 30% of the occupied West Bank. Addressing an emergency meeting of his cabinet, Abbas described the US as Israel's partner in crime, and he called for countries that have rejected President Donald Trump's Middle East peace plan to recognize the state of Palestine and impose sanctions on Israel. Under Trump's deal, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu could begin annexing Palestinian land as soon as July.
The Palestine Liberation Organization and the State of Palestine are not bound to, as of today, all the agreements and understandings with the American and Israeli governments, and have all the obligations based on these understandings and agreements, including the security ones.
Nid Ibrahim has the latest from Ramallah.
While he said that the PLO is no longer bound by agreements signed with Israel, he said that he did not say that he's dissolving the Palestinian Authority. And the Palestinian Authority itself is the fruit of the agreements that has been signed between Israel and the Palestinian Authority in 1993. So we need a couple of days or maybe weeks to understand what really is going to be taken on the ground in terms of measures by the Palestinian Authority. Now, to the issue of the security agreement between the two parties, it has been suspended a couple of times before, but in recent history, we're talking about the past 20 years, this suspension was only limited to the high-profile, high-level meetings between the Palestinian and Israeli security officials. But side channels have happened in the past between Palestinians and Israelis that kind of allowed this security coordination to continue. Of course, it's very important for the Palestinian Authority's viability. And many officials here in the occupied West Bank argue that the Palestinian Authority's establishment is an accomplishment and that they are not looking at just dissolving the Palestinian Authority.
Ali Abunimah is the co-founder of Electronic Intifada and the author of The Battle for Justice in Palestine. He says the announcement by Abbas is meaningless.
Well, there's two important points here. One is that the creation of the Palestinian Authority was allowed by Israel after 1993 for one purpose and one purpose alone, which was to create a native Palestinian auxiliary to basically implement the occupation on behalf of Israel. And that is and has been the role of the Palestinian Authority since its creation. Israel allows Palestinian security forces to have guns, but those guns are only to be used against Palestinians. And so the agreements are basically that the Palestinian Authority acts as an auxiliary police force for Israeli occupation forces. Now, that's given the title security coordination. That's the polite name for it that's given in the agreement. Mahmoud Abbas, the head of the PA, has announced, I can't remember how many times, that he's suspending this agreement or that agreement. And the fact is he's never done that. He's never suspended an agreement. And indeed, this evening, as we're speaking, Palestinian Authority sources told the Israeli newspaper Haaretz that, in fact, security collaboration between the Israeli occupation forces and the Palestinian Authority is continuing and will continue. And the reality is that the Palestinian Authority can't move a salt shaker from one side of a table to another without the permission and help of the Israeli occupation.